Hi, everybody. I'm Stacey Clark, CEO of CircusTalk. Welcome to the very first Pro Talk of 2022. I begin by acknowledging that this CircusTalk Pro Talk is being hosted on unceded Indigenous lands. The Ga-Nyungahaga Nation is recognized as the custodian of the lands and waters on which I live today. Junjege, Montreal, is historically known as a gathering place for First Nations. Today, it is home to a diverse population of Indigenous and other peoples. We respect the continued connections with the past, present, and future in our ongoing relationships with Indigenous and other peoples within the Montreal community. I'm Stacey Clark. As I mentioned, I'm a white cis woman in my early 50s. I have a medium sporty build and blonde shoulder length hair. I'm wearing a purple shirt. My pronouns are she, her. I'm delighted to have all of you with us and really, really grateful to have our esteemed guest, Mr. Pascal Jacob, join us for this Pro Talk. And without further ado, I will pass the torch to Pascal so that he might introduce himself to all of you.
Hello, good afternoon. For me, it's quite dark outside, but I know for you it's a clear day. I will do it in a short version. I'm currently the artistic director of the Festival Mondial du Cirque de Demain. So this is my, let's call that a job, but it's more a mission instead of a job. Go back a little bit in the past. I spent a few years in university in theatrical studies many years ago. And I had a different jobs. I spent almost 10 years in the operatic world. I was an assistant director. And I decided suddenly to design costumes. So I spent the next 10 years to create some costumes. And I did 3 times for Ringling Bros. Barnum Bailey. So I did the costume and the set also for the Barnum's Kaleidoscape, which was a very exciting experience. And what else? I spent also 7 years working with Franco Dragon, and yeah, I'm sure Franco Dragon sounds familiar to you. And he was the historical director for the Cirque du Soleil. And in 1999, he decided to create his own company in Belgium. And I started to work with him in 2008. And I spent, as I said, 8 years, 8 wonderful years. I learned a lot of things working with this man. And I know it can seem stupid and to say it's a genius, but I can tell that. I can tell that because he asked me to assist him, and I was not on the age to be an assistant at the time. I said, Franco, I'm a little bit old to be an assistant. He said, no, I don't care. I want you to come with me. And we spent a few weeks to work together for the creation of a ballet in Spain with the national Spanish ballet flamenco company. And I saw him. I saw him in a different vision people can get from him when he was working in the big shows. There it was a small production, a very small production, but he was there every day. And yeah, it was like a permanent masterclass. And for him also, I act as a production designer in China, in the Sichuan Bana for the Dai show. I was scouting also. I spent 7 years to scout also for the other shows, for the House of Dancing Water, for the Han show in Wuhan, and for different projects almost everywhere. And now I'm, as I told you, I am the artistic director of the Festival Mondial du Cirque de Demain and the Cirque Phoenix. And yes, that's it.
Well, that's it as a matter of speech, but that is an awful lot. And what I find so interesting in this, and why I feel it's really important to understand where people come from and what their experiences are, is because of how it informs and influences where they are and how they are now. So in this case, what you do in the context of the Cirque de Demain is, as I would interpret, so broadly influenced by your experience in a lot of different genres, the performing arts, into which, of course, the circus arts in all of its diversity feeds so harmoniously. So I find that really interesting, and I hope that we can talk a little bit about those influences as it relates to the selection process, which is sort of the meat on the bone here for a lot of our participants, our attendees today. It's understanding the process behind how a festival is programmed, how the selection process actually happens, how it's cast. Whatever the language we use, I think it's not just a question of reaching in and pulling some names out of a hat, but there's a much bigger artistic perspective that's brought to the process. So I would invite you to dive in and let us know a little bit about where it starts. What's your first step?
I forget something to say something. I'm basically a circus fan since I'm a kid. That's the beginning of the story, because of course I spent a few years, as I told you, in university and so on. But I went to university because I was sure I will meet people crazy about circus like I was. And of course not. I was the only one to. The people were looking at me. Circus? Are you serious? It's not. It's not a subject. So it was a little bit strange for me, because for me, when, as I told you, when I was a kid, the circus was my life. Already. Even though I was not a professional, I was thinking, eating, sleeping circus, and so yes, it's maybe the beginning of the story. I'm a circus fan, and because I'm a circus fan, and because also I'm lucky. I'm living in Paris, and I was born in Paris. So I can't say maybe in a way, because I'm not so young. I'm born a second time maybe with the festival. In 1977, when Dominique Mauclair, the founder, got the idea to create a festival for young talents, because Monte Carlo was created 3 years before, in 1974, like a consecration for a career. And Dominique Mauclair was more thinking about a bridge between generations, maybe, and also a step for young people to be able to show themselves in front of the community in Paris, in the Cirque d'Hiver at the time, in the beautiful building. And I went there. I went there in 1977, and I can say I went there every single year, from the very first festival until the one 3 years ago. But anyway, and I will be there for the next, for sure. So I grew up with the festival in a way, and it was a kind of education also to be there every year, and I was waiting every year for the selection, for to have a perception of the evolution of circus. And it was already a goal for Dominique. And you have to imagine, what does it mean to say 1977? We were in the middle of a crisis for the French circus. Almost all the circuses were dead or quite dead. So it was a very, very sad period. And it was also, I think it's Dominique Mauclair had this vision of that, okay, the circus is dying, but it's maybe not too late. And let's try to bring a new blood in this world, in a way. And it was really a vision. And he started the first edition, believe me, with a very small one. It was only a show, and was 9 or 10 acts, and we were not very numerous, 300 people, I think, in the building, in the Cirque d'Hiver. So it was a very small edition, but it was the first one. And Dominique was convinced to create another one, and another one, and another one, and he did it for sure. And after a few years, he decided to move under a tent in the Cirque, And at the beginning also of maybe the first evolution of the festival, the first step, he started to invite acts from the east side of the world, and it was not so evident. No, today it's not a big deal, but at the time it was not so clean, not so clear, not so clean to do that. And he started to invite some Russian performers. And again, you have to imagine Russia was closed at the time. It was Soviet Union, and it was not simple to bring some Soviet performers in Western countries in the frame of a festival. A show was another story, but a festival was something very special. And there we discover the way the Soviet circus was creating new acts, a new experience of circus. And it's quite obvious. It was an artistic revolution. And at the same time, Dominique started to invite people coming from China, from Cuba, from Egypt, and it's not easy to imagine that. But you know, at the end of the 18th and the beginning of 90s, some editions, and I think we had one with 54 acts. Can you imagine? Today it's 24 and 2 shows, but at the time, usually was 32, 34, and 1 year 54. We were standing in the tent until 2 in the morning, and because the show was so long, you know, it was like, oh, I saw some light, and I have an act. Can I do it? Can I perform? And Dominique was not able to say no. He said yes, you will go in 25 minutes after the Russian juggler and just between the French acrobat. And you know, and the evening was incredible because the jury was working and was eliminating the people at the same time. You know, today the jury is supposed to see the show both 2 times. At the time, they were looking at one act, and if the act was not so incredible, they were able to say, okay, thank you for coming, but bye. And but at least at the end, we saw 54 acts. So it was really something. And a few years ago, I'm not able to count, but I will say 12 years ago, something like this. Dominique was an old guy and he was tired, and he asked to Alain Pachery to become the president, the new president of the festival. And Alain said yes, for sure. And he asked me to become the artistic director. And there we started to work together on the new era for the festival. You know, we move from the Cirque d'Hiver, from the 19th century building, beautiful building but too small, to the tent, to the Cirque Phoenix. And for us, it was also a very important step because, of course, it's bigger, but it was also an opportunity to offer seats for a lot of people. You know, Cirque d'Hiver, it's 1,003 or 400, something like this. So if you want to keep the festival in a safe way, you have to practice high prices. And it's not very nice for students from different schools, you know, because it's too expensive. But
yeah,
if you,
it becomes a bit exclusive.
yeah, and for a long period, for a lot of people, it was only for professional, you know, because it was like this, you know. And Alain said, no way, I don't want that. I want to open the doors, and with a big tent with a lot of seats, affordable seats, we were reasonably able to open more and more the doors. And some evenings, I know we have around 700, 800, 1,000 students from different schools, and it's possible because we can give them a very low price to come to the festival and to be there, and we still have 1,500 people with able to pay a normal price. So it gives a different feeling to the tent, a different atmosphere for every evening. And if you get the chance to come on the Saturday evening, you know how the it's electric. It's an incredible atmosphere. So to go there and to be able to be on stage, there is a few steps, and I will say, and it's not easy to explain how we work, because I will say it's we are human. We are human, and we look at the act we receive or the act we see everywhere with our perception, with our own perception. We are with our own history, sensation, perception, emotions. So maybe sometimes, and I remember I was in a festival, and I saw one act, and I said, "Oh, I love that." And my another people sitting close to me said, "Are you sure?" I said, "Yeah, I love it." And for him, it was not clear. For him, it was not. We didn't have the same perception for the same act. So maybe sometimes we are wrong for sure in our choices, maybe, but it's always a very personal choice. I'm saying that
Let me,
because
sorry,
yeah.
let me interject very quickly to this is all super interesting. And of course, I connect so strongly with it as a casting director because our personal biases and our personal tastes and the personal part of ourselves comes to the table. From a technical standpoint, for anyone with the question in their head, how do you get to see that material? How does that material land in your hands? What is the very first connection that you have with the potential candidates that you're considering?
uh, I can tell you before it was tapes, tapes. We were receiving hundreds of tapes, maybe thousands of tapes. After that, we received the CD and the DVDs, and now we receive links, and it's it's easier. That's the first door. You send your application on the website, and we open the link, and we see it, and we have an idea, and that's it.
And Pascal, tell me who's we? Who's the actual we who gets to open that link in the first set of eyeballs looking at
That's a,
it?
that's a secret. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, all
I'm
right.
kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. We is almost Alain Pachery and me and Jean-Pierre. Jean-Pierre is the general manager from the festival. He's taking care of everything, and he's the only one to be paid. Keep that in mind. I'm not paid, and he's not paid, and we work with a lot of people, benevolent people, for the festival. Jean-Pierre is the only one to be paid all the year round to manage and to maintain the festival. So Jean-Pierre is getting all the informations, and we look together. So Jean-Pierre and I, and we I'm not saying we do a first selection because it's not this, but it that also, we look at everything, and I know, I feel which one will be on the final list and which one will be maybe not. So, and after that, when we have a good idea of the selection, a good idea of how can you call that? I don't know if it's a good word in English. Asperities, some exciting little things, and we have the perception, the sensation of the beginning of something, of the selection. We show the links to Alain, and we start to discuss. And day by day, week by week, month by month, we build the selection. So it's sometimes we said yes in 2 minutes, and sometimes we prefer to wait a little bit to just to be sure we are not going to miss somebody, and or because it's the story of our life, we receive 42, 46, 55 strap act, or 80 jugglers, or so, at one point we have to choose also, because when we decide to say, okay, we would like to have this at least two strap act, when you have 42 or 44 or even more on the table, you need to be very clear about what you are looking for when you talk about strap act. So that's it. That's it. The we is, let's say, three people.
Let's talk about the zoom in, zoom out factor. Zooming in are all those individual links, all of the 40 odd strap acts that come
Mhm.
from individuals who arguably have put their heart and soul into getting that material ready for this selection panel to be able to see. But your role and the role of the team is to zoom out and actually program a festival and not end up with 10 acts that live in the same discipline space or have too much perhaps similarity or common elements. So, do you find that you, in fact, do that back and forth vision where you mine into the individual acts to see their absolute utmost potential and then zoom out to be able to see how it fits in from an artistic director's viewpoint?
Yeah, you're right. It's we have to build selection, but we have also to build two shows, and it's not exactly the same thing, because, as you know, we don't build the selection for ourselves. We build the selection for an audience, and and since a few years, it's a real audience. It's not only professional. I'm always happy and proud to bring in Paris some act from different countries. And I remember we brought an act from China, and China, a lot of people are traveling in China. And one guy from the Cirque du Soleil said, "Where did you find them?" I was so proud, for that, because he didn't see them. They are traveling in all around China, and they didn't see it. So I was so happy. But that's a game. That's the private joke. um
Well, discovery is real, and in today's world, and this is my casting experience on the table. There's so much access to everything through all the channels, whether it's social media or the links that we talked about being sent to your inbox, or the perpetuation of material being shared over YouTube or whatever video platforms. On some level, we think we should see everything, but what a treat to actually get right into new discovery.
I don't think we see everything, and that's why it's so exciting to do it, because we receive a lot of proposition, for sure, hundreds of proposition every year. But I'm also looking in the street. I'm also looking in different fields, not only in circus, mainly in circus, but not only. And and yes, you're right. We should be able to know everybody, every single person doing every single act in this planet in a few seconds. But it doesn't work like this, not completely. And sometimes you are surprised, because, and I think it's a good news also for our community. Um, it's not only one community. There is a lot of communities, and when you are not familiar with one community, sometimes you miss something. And that's why it's so exciting to keep our eyes completely open all the time, because we receive. I'm teaching in different schools, so I can feel, I can follow some of the young performers in the schools, and in Montreal, for example, or in Chalon, or in different, or in, Fratellini Academy. I can see the student from first year, second year. In the second year, I can have a feeling of, from some of them, what they will become maybe the year after. So I'm preparing also the selection 2 or 3 years before, but it's a small part of the selection, because we don't build selection only with students coming from the school. So it's
But it does bring up an interesting point, which I think the teacher in me would say to anybody listening. This is networking. This is letting yourself be out there, becoming known. It may not be your year. Your year may be several years away. But just the fact that there are professional eyeballs out there paying attention, observing what your career trajectory is looking like, I think that's really important to be aware of and to optimize that and to really take advantage of the fact that when there's opportunities like this, the type of meet and greet or opportunities to get informed about who are the people behind these organizations, understanding the history and the trends, all of this is very much part of career development.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, and it's for me it's the only way to do it. It's to try to be connected as much as possible with the different communities everywhere in the world, and again, sometimes we find some people in the street, on the corner of the street. It's not a YouTube, it's not a video, it's not a link. It's just to see somebody and say, wow, wow, that's incredible, that's amazing, and and that's a part of the excitement of the selection too, because I know some of other festival are waiting for applications, and based on what they receive, they build their selection, and they don't try to see outside. They just wait, and they keep, and they make the selection. They select the act based on that. We do that also, of course, but not only. And sometimes I like to provoke also an application, going to maybe I'm a student in the school, but it's not only in the school again, but sometimes in the school, and even sometimes the student doesn't have the idea to make the festival, because it's not a goal, it's not the end of your life. It's a possibility. That's it. But sometimes, what do you think, and what are you going to do in the next January, or this kind of beginning a discussion, and sometimes they don't want to do it, and it's fine for me, it's perfectly fine. But sometimes they, are you sure? And I said, yeah, I'm pretty sure. If you want to do it, I will be happy to welcome you in Paris. So and that's it. It's a very specific way to again to think all the time, uh, how will look the next selection. Because I can tell you, and of course it's very sad, because we postponed the festival 2 times already, since 2 years now. So the selection process is, of course, completely different, because we were ready to go. So for next year, of course, we will reinvite all the people we selected for this edition. So maybe some of them will be not able to come in 2023, but most of them will come. So, and I'm a little bit sad, because it means it will be a white year for a lot of people, because we will be not able to invite more than 24, and frankly, the 24 are already selected. So, but it's a different.
Unusual times here, but perhaps the only positive takeaway would be just to knuckle down and keep your eye on the prize, because it's just a postponement. It's not to say that the door is closed forever for the
No,
candidates
for
who
sure.
still aspire. It's just we're in this curious time where we're going to have to all be a little bit of extra patient.
No, for sure, for sure. But I can imagine how much could be disappointing for a student, because the for a lot of them, they wait for that. They wait for this opportunity to come, I'm very sad to say, okay, but the door is already almost closed, for next year. So maybe we will find a way. Maybe, I don't know. We will think about to open a little bit more, but it's complicated, because I don't know also to say no to the people I said yes for this year. It will be not fair to do that. So except if their choice, they don't want to come, but it will be another story.
Before we move into what I would hope to be some exciting questions from the people listening now, You've provoked a number of questions in me, and so I want to touch on the roots that you're keeping in your talent scouting. This idea that you are keeping your eyes and ears open, not just awaiting applications, but very much proactively seeking them out as well. And talk to me a little bit about the trend of circus arts becoming more multidisciplinary, cross pollinating with other artistic genres. What's your experience been, and what is your interest in the fact that circus arts really is so broad? It can be so broadly defined. It's not just X type of discipline or X type of apparatus, but more and more it's becoming something that is very much cross pollinated with other interesting and hopefully innovative artistic disciplines.
We have a natural restriction, and I'm sad about that, but we don't have any choice. It's the space, because as you said, now a lot of circus, especially the contemporary circus, is built for a stage and not for a ring, and it's a big restriction for us, because and I dream about the idea to have another place, another tent, maybe on the side with a small stage, and to be able to invite a different category of performers to present their act, because on their act or a part of their show. Because when you are in the center of the stage, it looks like a ring. There is a lot of things you can do. It's impossible for you to present them in the same way as on the stage with a wall behind you. So it's a big restriction, and I'm saying that because when you talk about the multiplicity of possibilities, I'm thinking about projection, for example. I'm thinking about different way to work with the set, with the different way to be really facing the audience and not obliged to turn your back and your side. So for some acts, and I will love to get them, we are obliged to say no, because it's impossible. Because even if we bring them in the back of the stage, it will be not exactly the same feeling as on the real stage. So that's a restriction when we talk about the fusion of different disciplines and way to do circus. But fortunately, we still have the mixity with dance, with theater, with music, also with a lot of things, for sure. So that's maybe one key for the look we have on the circus, because I think it's quite amazing to be able to juggle, but it's maybe not enough today, and maybe you need to do more. It doesn't, and I'm saying that, I'm thinking also sometimes, because it's a way to do it, just to play with one diabolo. And maybe you remember Tom Laporte a few years ago, and he was just playing with one diabolo. Taiwanese are able to play with 5. He was able to play with 1, and with 1 he was creating a world by itself. So simplicity, but it was not so simple, because to get there, he spent years to think about it. So and that's exactly what I'm looking for when I'm looking to an act. What he did before, to be there in front of me, to bring on the screen in our office this part of his life. And it's very emotional, because it's not only, okay, I'm able to play with 5 diabolos, I can dance on the rope. Frankly, I don't care. But how the process to be there, to be able to do that today, and to do that in a very special way, in a very special dimension, that's what exactly drives me in the building of the selection. So yes, for sure, we are also always looking to the way every discipline is evolving by itself, because we know that acrobatics, juggling, people are doing that since 1,000 years before, and we we don't invent so much, but the vocabulary, the initial vocabulary, the way this vocabulary is played in front of us, that's exciting, and
Mhm.
that's why it's always amazing to discover, and I'm always excited when we start to receive application, because you open the link, and that's a part of the secret. After 3 seconds, 5 seconds, I know if it will be fine, if it will be amazing, or if it will be not so fine. So, and it's because of all of this, because the way it's built, the way it be connected with the world, the a story, but it's not necessary to tell a story, but it could be, you know, all these things which are the trademark of the contemporary circus. That's exactly what I'm looking for. How it's presented, and it doesn't mean it has to be really theatrical and it's okay. Of course not. It's still circus. So we are still expecting a performance. We are still expecting something incredible, but incredible for incredible, it's not enough. Incredible with a twist, wow.
Juicy. Okay, so what I'm hearing is that there are some key criteria that are fundamentally, they're givens, they're things that must be there. We know we're talking about high level of performance and execution and a maîtrise of one's uh, apparatus or discipline. But I think there's an interesting common thread here, which I would maybe call intention, purpose, the why behind it. So if you're not telling a story in a traditional narrative way, you're still bringing a dimension of self to the nature of the work that is then, of course, supported by your technical proficiency and all of the innovative components that enable you to bring that level of expression also to a very high level.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
exactly what. Yeah, sorry.
No, I was going to suggest, and I'll let you finish your sentence, but get ready, folks, because we're going to open the floor to questions in just a minute. So I would invite you, if you are intending to have questions, just a very quick housekeeping thing. I think we're going to use the what should we use, Emily? Actually, I think we had talked about putting questions in chat, but you're all right here. I want to hear from you if that's available to you to be able to express it. So, can we have cameras back on, and I'll have Emily help to filter the interest, and you guys can make a signal to let us know that you have something that you want to bring up with Pascal. So that's the housekeeping stuff. Emily's also going to show her face in just a sec. Pascal, I'll let you finish your thought process that I interrupted.
No, no, it's okay. Yeah, it's interesting because it's exactly the way Franco is expressing in Franco Dragon is expressing himself. The beginning of everything, a dark intuition, an obscur pressentiment in French. I don't know if it's the right translation in English, but the dark intuition. And it's exactly that, it's exactly that. I'm always looking about, I'm always looking for what is behind the presentation, the intention, the intention for sure, the result for sure. But you feel when you see a perfect act, when it starts, and you say, oh yeah, it will be, yeah, everything is there. So you know that, I know that, I feel that. And um, and that's maybe it's because there is so much more before to feel the result, and to bring into life. And that's why I'm so excited when I'm in a school, and I spend a few hours to talk with the students about what they do. And I try to explain also, it's not exactly the rules, but what I expect when we talk about an act. It's what does it mean to create an act? You know, it's not only 4 or 5 or 6 minutes or 7, but it's much more than this. And that's also what I'm looking for when I see the different application. I try to find the rules I have in my mind to fit with what I'm seeing. So, and when it fits perfectly, of course, it's good for the selection.
Nice. Check the box.
Yeah.
Okay, we've arrived. Who's going to be the brave first voice who can pop their camera on and take their mute off? We invite anything that you might want to present directly to Pascal.
Nobody.
It'll come. Okay, Owen, I see you.
I have a question. How do you find that viewing an act on video compares to viewing it live? And do you find that this you kind of have to imagine a little bit? What do you see if that difference? Does it hinder you think the casting process? How do you really find that essence of like a live performance on a video?
That's a good question. That's a good question, and I'm not sure I have a good answer. But I can tell you something. I can tell you. Sometimes it's not so easy to do that. But when we see an act, sometimes it's obvious, and I can give you some example. You know, because I will come back to the example. But sometimes it's obvious. Sometimes you can have a doubt. And we try. I try when I'm not sure, or when I'm really curious to see more or to see it for real. I try to see the act somewhere. So it doesn't work all the time because sometimes it's not so easy. Sometimes it's too far. Sometimes it's complicated. But I will say maybe not all the time, most of the time, but very often I try to see when it's clear, you know, when and it's, I know it's not fair to say that, just because it means for some act it's clear, for some other ones it's not so clear. I can tell you, we receive sometimes some very bad quality links, and I'm going to tell you a story. Maybe you know the juggler Jimmy Gonzalez. Jimmy was a young guy when I met him in France. He was not even in school. He was just looking for the possibility to go in school. And he was a juggler already. He was 14 or 15 years old, and he was a good juggler already. And I told him, you want to become a juggler? I think it could be nice for you to go in school. And I don't have any recommendations because it's really a question of personal feeling. But Montreal could be good for you. He went there, and I met him for the first time after this first meeting, 3 or 4 years after that, the day he was leaving the school for the épreuve synthèse. And I saw him at the end of the presentation. I said, what are you going to do in January? And because he was really a good juggler, amazing juggler. And he said, I will be free, but next week or in 2 weeks, I'm going to do another festival. I said, that's bad news, because if you do a festival before us, it will be complicated for us to choose you, to select you again. So he was a little bit sad, but he said, you know, I gave my word. So I said, okay, fine, do that. But you know, maybe in the future, if you have another idea or something else, maybe we can talk again. And after 2 or 3 years after that, he sent us an application. He said, oh, I have a new act. So I said, okay, you are a juggler. So what does it mean? A new costume, a new music, but are you sure the act will be not exactly the same you did in the festival? And he said, no, I'm playing with clay. With clay? A juggler playing with clay, with some kind of muddy gluing thing on your hand? Are you sure? And he said, yes. I'm creating a new act with clay. And I say, that sounds exciting for me, you know, because it's completely different, completely new. So and he said, I'm working on it, so I don't have a good video to present, but I can send you some rough things, and if you say yes, I swear I will work day and night, and I will do an act strong as with the normal balls, my normal juggling act. I said, okay, well, let's do that. And he sent us, and believe me, it was a very, very bad video, you know, very bad. He did the video in his garden with some clay in the middle of nowhere. And but I had the feeling at the time he was preparing something incredible. So we said yes. He came, he did the act, he won the gold medal, he won a lot of prizes, and you know, I didn't see him for real before. I saw him for real as a juggler, a normal juggler, but with the clay act, I didn't see him for real. And we bet, we did the bet, and because I knew him, because I saw him in a different vision, a different version, I was pretty sure. Maybe I was close to do a mistake, but you know, he was really successful. He did an amazing act, and that's maybe not a right answer for you, but it really depends on what the expression of the performer.
There's something really interesting in that story, which is to be reminded that you do not need to get hung up on technology and spending a fortune on creating a high production value demo. On the flip side, and there is a certain privilege in that story. It's an awesome story, and of course we're talking about a tremendous artist, but there is also a certain privilege because that was rooted in a relationship and networking and a certain awareness and an exposure that one has to make an effort to do to get out there and connect with people. On the flip side, and again, this is my lens now, the best video will answer the questions I didn't even know I had. I don't want to wonder whenever possible if I'm making some type of screening process. I want to feel and respond and be as natural as possible in my reaction to what you're showing. I don't want to wonder because of some fancy editing if that's a skill that can actually be achieved consistently, or whatever the example might be. So, you know, there's sort of this sliding scale, there's a spectrum. You don't need to spend a fortune on the video, but you do need to be able to present yourself in a way that is really equipping the people watching it to make the very best sound judgment so that they can tap into their emotional response, so that they can really get answers to the questions that they have. Exactly what Pascal described, that selection criteria, that mapping in his mind, those need to be addressed when they're looking at your link. Okay, next question. We do have the little raise hand button, by the way, if we need it, but we may not need it. So have at her. Who's next? Rachel.
Hi. I don't know if this is specific enough, but I guess I'm curious in what ways you feel the festival is changing or shifting now and like moving into the future.
We try to be connected with the society. We try to be a picture and an echo of the circus from today. We have a name, Festival Mondial Cirque de Demain, but I think it's more exciting to talk about the circus from today. And yes, we that's why we are always open to anything. You know, we try, because as I said, we have to build a selection, we have to build 2 shows, we have a real audience. So it's not only, I will say something maybe stupid, but if we were creating the festival for a very small group of people, it could be different maybe. maybe we will make some different choices. Maybe not completely, but maybe we will make some different choices. It will be maybe more radical, maybe more contemporary in a way, but because we need to play for an audience, we try to be as much as possible open to everything, everybody and everything. So, but you're right. The world is evolving, the society is changing a lot, and I think it's important for the festival to be a window, but also an extension of the society. And it's not easy. It's not easy. And every year we have some reflection and some critics about the fact there is not enough women on stage. The festival is too white, and so on and so on. But and we are completely we agree with that. Of course we agree with that. When we are not going to say, oh no, are you sure? It's not a question. The question is, again, the festival is an extension of a moment, and maybe next year will be different. Maybe a year before it was completely different. I was talking about in the beginning of the discussion about, I was talking about the 70s. You can imagine when the world was cut in two parts, with the Western country on one side and the Eastern countries on the other side. It was a tour de force to bring some Soviet performers in Paris. Just that. I remember I was there when maybe you're too young to remember that, but in Poland, when the revolution started with the syndicat Solidarité, Solidarność, and I was there in the festival, and we had a Polish delegation, and the performers decided to stay in Europe, to stay in Western, because at the moment of the festival, it was like the beginning of a war in Poland, and the Polish society was exploding at the time. So, I mean, it's the festival at this time was also an extension of the world. And I remember the year where some performers from East Germany, and at the time the wall was still there, some performers at the final show for the gala, they won a gold medal, a silver medal, something like this. And when the speaker, when the ringmaster asked them to come, they were not there. They decided to leave. They disappear. They disappear. Nobody saw them again, because for them, they decided to leave East Germany because they were in France, in a free country, and for them it was a fantastic opportunity to get freedom. So, there we are really in a political way, an extension of society, and today we try to do the same on a different field. So that's why we are always looking and open to keep the diversity on the stage. But yeah, and we have always discussion about that. But it's not so simple. It's not so easy. And I want to keep in mind the only reason to be on stage is because you are incredible, because you express something. Doesn't matter if you're a man, a woman, in any kind of person in the world today. I don't care. I'm just looking the way you are, what you express, and what you do, and what you want to give to the audience, and the rest for me it's nothing. But yeah, based on that, we do the selection also with let's say that with the reason, heart, and spirit, and it's not simple.
Thanks for the question, Rachel, and I would say thanks to Pascal as well for peeling a layer of the onion back a little bit. I think that the entire conversation around diversity, equity, and inclusion could take us a whole other pro talk, and there's a good likelihood we will in fact do that at some point. So I would invite all of you to pay attention to that. What I'm hearing, I think, is that there is a genuine openness. And I think that actually passes the torch back to all of us in the industry to continue to take advantage of that and perpetuate that and not let things get static and be the same. But in fact, bring yourselves, whatever version of self that is, whatever that looks like, bring yourselves into the game. I'm being mindful of time. These are meant to be about an hour. So Pascal, if you're in accordance, I will ask for one more question. And I'm sorry that we can't do more. I feel like we could chat forever, but.
Oh, yes, for sure.
Okay. So I see 2 hands going up. Are we prepared to do 2 more? Pascal, is your time allowable?
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. 2,
Very
3,
good.
4.
Okay. Okay, so we have Bay.
Hi, I'm Singvat and I'm a Diablo player from Malaysia. And my question might be a little bit superficial. And the question is, when you receive 2 same acts, like maybe 2 Diablo act or maybe 3, and I would like to ask, how will you compare them? Like, would you compare these 2 show, or will you compare this Diablo show with other show when you have to do selection? And that's my question. Thank you.
And your question is a nightmare, because it's a perfect question. And every year we are confronted, we are facing this for sure. I'm not sure I'm going to give you a good answer, but at the end of the day, we always try to at least to have 2 acts from the same discipline, So it's not impossible to have 2 amazing Diabolo acts. It's possible. 3, it becomes complicated. 4, it's impossible. So when we have to choose, and it's not easy to explain, but when we have to choose, we look and let's say we talk about exactly the same. It's one person playing with Diabolo. Okay, if there is a group of 3 or 4 or 5, it will be not exactly the same thing. It means we can choose 2 people playing with Diabolos alone and a group of people playing with Diabolo. So it means it's opened the door to 3 acts. But if we have exactly two guys or 2 girls, or 1 guy and 1 girl, and they are equally amazing, we will choose both of them. If we have 5 or 4 equally amazing, it will become complicated. So, but it doesn't happen so much. It doesn't happen so much. But what are we looking for? We are looking about the way the act is done. Because when you play with Diabolo, and it doesn't matter if you play with 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm kidding. I hope 7 one day, but 5 already. 5, it's not too bad. And but it's not the point. The point is more what do you express with your Diabolo? What do you tell me? What do you tell us? How do you move? How do you build? Let's say not a story, but a kind of narrative with your Diabolo. How do you catch them? How do you bring them on stage? Do you have them with you? Do you play with them on the floor? And so on and so on. How do you build a transition to go from one figure to the other one? How do you go to 1 Diabolo to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5? How do you play with light? How do you look? Your costume. It's not important to have a beautiful costume, because beautiful doesn't mean anything. But how the costume is a part of what you express. If for the perfect story of your act you need to be naked, fine, I don't care. But if you need to have a huge heavy costume, it's fine also. But the costume you will wear will express something. So that's all the things I'm judging, I'm looking for. And at the end of the day, at the end of the moment, at least we have an idea of, okay, these three guys are really amazing, but this one is a little bit under the other ones. So we will choose the two other ones. So I'm not sure it's a good answer, but I try. I'm not saying this one is good, this one is bad. It's not the case, because most of the time, 2 or 3 or 4 are really good. But the way they tell me, the way they bring me in their universe, the way they bring me in what exactly they want to present, how they want to touch the people, that's the most important. And for my student, it's always the same. Be yourself. Don't try to imitate something. Don't try to be complicated. Be yourself. Express exactly what you have in mind. And of course, if you are a good technician, if you are a strong Diabolo player, it will help a lot for sure. But yeah, I remember it's 4 or 5 years ago, we had exactly the same question with 2 guys from Japan, 2 Japanese guys. They both of them were incredible, and but they were really close in the way they were playing, moving, but finally we said, okay, let's take them both, because it was too complicated for us to say, okay, let's take this one, but this one, oh no, let's take them both. So we can do that. And if you are lucky, maybe you will be alone in the selection to be a Diabolo from Malaysia. So maybe without any competition, and we will take you.
I'm hearing that the details, what is that expression? The devil is in the details?
Yeah, the devil in the details.
Yeah, it's all the details, and it's the authentic details that are going to differentiate you.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to jump over to Shayna, who had a question.
Hi. Kind of expanding on those details, you talked about looking for an artist's intention when you're looking at the applicant's videos. Would you expand a bit on what you mean by an artist's intention? Because that seems to vary person to person.
That's a good question too. I will say when the intention is so strong, when the intention is so obvious, it's clear. I will say something. I'm going to tell you what I'm saying when I'm doing a class with my student regarding what is an act, what is supposed to, how can we describe a circus act. And for me, the beginning of everything is the intention behind the act, behind the construction. What do you want to express? But also, you need a beginning, you need a middle, and you need an end. And I tell them the most important maybe is the way you will catch me, the way you will catch the audience, the way you will enter. Maybe you will run. Maybe you will be already on stage, turning your back to the audience. Maybe you will be lying on the floor. Maybe I don't know. But the way you will start, the way you will enter, the way you will catch me with the light, with the music, with the sound. I don't know anything. I will be trapped, and that's your goal. Trap me in a way. I don't care how the way you will do it, but that's the most important thing. I need to open my eyes. I'm going to give you an example, like one more. I was in Montreal for the Épreuve Synthèse many years ago, and it was a big year, 26 act, 26. I was just coming from Paris by plane. I was arriving at, let's say, 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I was supposed to be in the school at 6. And I was in the jury at the time, looking at 26 acts from the Épreuve Synthèse. And it was a long day and a long evening for me, believe me. and I was trying to keep my eyes open. And so we did the first group, 13 act, a pause, intermission with some food and some coffee, and we started again. And I was looking on the paper, and I said, "Oh God, rope, tissue, rope, tissue, seal wheel." So no, I said, "Okay." And the last act, the last one was unicycle, and I'm going to tell you something very bad, but I hate by a unicycle. But anyway, and I went there, and it was a long night, and 11 act, 12 act. I said, okay, one more, and I'm going to bed. And the last one was a unicycle, two guys, and they change the light, and they enter, and believe me, I waked up immediately, and I was completely blasted by the act. And I said, wow. And again, I hate this discipline. And for me, it was absolutely incredible. The way they play with this basic apparatus. And because there were two guys creating a story, the devil and his prey, but it was not so obvious, but it was they were able to open many windows for the audience, and they were incredible acrobats on the performers on the unicycle, on both of them on the same one on the shoulder of the other ones. It was incredible. So even after a long day, and with an act I was not supposed to love, I was completely shocked, and I invited them all immediately. So, you know, it's the intention, the way it's done, and the emotion you will give to me, but not only to me, to the audience, to every people looking at you. It's a key. It's the main key for me.
Thank you, Pascal. I'm loath to do this, but I would like to make a quick proposition. I do want to be very respectful of everybody's time, not the least of which is yours. And what I'd like to suggest is that if you have a burning question that we are not able to answer within this time frame, then email me. Please do email me. This is what our community is about. This is what CircusTalk is here for. We are the conduit. We're the professional career platform here to support what all of you are aspiring to, which is a career, whether it's in development or well underway, in the world of circus and performing arts. And then I will call in a little bit of a favor with Mr. Pascal Jacob and see if we can't maybe get some additional responses that we can share with all of you who've participated in this Pro Talk. So just a quick technical thing. This is very obvious on the CircusTalk platform as well, but my email address, and this is a legit offer, is Stacy, STACY, at CircusTalk.com. So if you do have something really specific that not only you, but you think all of these people within our shared community could benefit from knowing the answer to, please send that question. Thanks, Emily. My email's in the chat. And then I will steer those toward Pascal and make an effort to answer any of those unanswered burning questions. So, last call. You're welcome to put your cameras on so that we can do a real show of gratitude and thanks to Pascal. I appreciate your time very much. I appreciate all of you, because all of you on the screen here are the makeup of who we are as a community, as an industry. And I think it's really exciting to actually get to see your faces and in some cases hear your voices. And let's continue that exchange as we move forward, despite the slightly inclement conditions that we're suffering from in the current COVID world. We'll pull together, as we are known to do within circus arts. Stay safe, stay strong, and onward and upward, I would hope. Pascal, thank you so much
for your time
and for your knowledge and for your passion.
My pleasure. Thank you.
I wish
Bye-bye.
you all very well.
Bye-bye.
Bye.